Hello and welcome back to Everything Boats with Captain Frank Lanier, where we discuss boats and boating, from maintenance and repairs to seamanship and safety, as well as everything in between. This podcast is a companion to my YouTube channel of the same name, so if you like and find it useful, be sure to subscribe and please check out my YouTube channel as well, where you'll find hundreds of informative videos on pretty much every boating topic imaginable. So today we're going to be talking about hating on the surveyor. So today's topic came about from an insurance survey. You got different types of surveys. You got pre-purchase condition of value, you got insurance, you got damage, whatever. Probably the worst ones from a surveyor perspective are going to be the insurance surveys. And why is that? Well, the pre-purchase surveyors or surveys, the client is eager. He wants you to be, tenaciously anal. He wants you to find everything out. He wants it all written down so he can go back to the seller and renegotiate. Unfortunately, with the insurance survey, it's a totally different mindset, right? You got a guy, and normally the only reason they get an insurance survey is because the underwriter insurance company says, hey, you know what, you need to have a survey. So then he's grumbling about that, right? I got to have a survey. You don't really want one. Why I got to have this surveyor come on here? I've owned Fatback for, 30 years. Nobody knows this boat better than me. And that's the kind of mindset you have to, deal with when you're getting, doing an insurance survey. A lot of times the owner, they don't really want to have it. They view it as money that's wasted. They spend too much, they got to spend money on it. They don't really want it. The only reason they're doing it is because, the insurance company says so. And even worse are the guys that buy the boat and then they come to you after the fact that they've purchased the boat. And now, you know what? I bought this boat and now the underwriter, they want me, the insurance company wants me to have an insurance survey done on it. I think it's a waste of money. I tell you what, just, you ain't got to come by. Just, I'll stroke you a check and you write me up a report and everybody will be fine. Well, you know what? Maybe you don't care if you have the actual surveyor or take a look at your boat, but your heirs probably will if you get sunk or, blowed up or whatever, right? So that would be what we call unethical to do what they call a drive-by survey. You always want to make sure that you have your boat actually surveyed. So what came about here for this video is I did an insurance survey for a guy, and he's had the boat for 30 years and he let the insurance lapse on it. And well, actually, he hadn't let it lapse on him. He said, I got about a week before I need to have this thing surveyed. So I kind of jumped through some hoops trying to help him out. I said, okay, I'll shift some stuff around. I'll go over there and survey it. And we surveyed it on a Friday. I don't normally work on the weekends, but I'll work on this thing on Saturday. So you'll have it, by Sunday. And your insurance for him was due on Monday. So, okay, that's good. So we went over there and as we're doing the survey, I point out everything I find. Okay, see that? This is this is this, you need to do this. And there was no surprises. There shouldn't be any surprises because I told him everything as we're going through. And I said, everything will be in the report, everything we've talked about. You get the report and then you can take care of this stuff and it's all set. Well, after I delivered the report to him, then he shoots me a couple of emails. I don't quite agree with this, the recommendations you have in the report. And I'm like, okay. Well, which recommendations don't you agree with? Well, okay, to start with, you got the fuel fill hose for my fuel tank. You said that hose needs to be replaced, that and the vent hose. And I said, well, we talked about that. That fill hose for your fuel tank is like 40 years old, right? I mean, it's a 40-year-old piece of hose. As a routine maintenance item, it should have been replaced decades ago, right? Hose, like everything else, got a limited lifespan. No hard and fast, but about 10 years of age. And he said, well, and then he tries to give me some pushback about, well, I don't know, use that hose like once every 2 years when I fill up the tank. So it's not like it's exposed to fuel or anything. So I don't really think I should, but come on, man, 40-year-old piece of hose. This is what I'm saying to myself. But in reality, what I tell him is, you know what? I have the authority of a wet paper sack. And that's the way I like it. I'm not the standards police. When I go on board your boat, I'll tell you, okay, this is this, and this should be done based on industry standards and common sense and good marine practice. And whether you do it or not is totally up to you. You don't have to do it. I just tell you what you should do, and then you do it whether you want to or not. And so then he says, okay, well, let's go on to the next one. So then we go on to the next one, and it's, the exhaust manifold for his engine, and it's a ball of rust, right? Your exhaust manifold, the riser to your engine, is badly corroded. In the report, I said it's badly corroded. Have a mechanic look at it and see if it needs to be replaced. And he's okay, all right. But then I get pushed back on that too. This thing is a ball of rust. And he comes back, he says, well, that manifold was replaced 6 years ago. And before that, it was original. So it was like, 34 years old. So by using that logic, therefore, and so on, that manifold should last another 30 years before I need to get it replaced. I say, okay, man, you know what? Again, I have to note it. You pay me, your money, you spend good money. You want me to go there and try to make, the boat, tell you what you should do, to keep it afloat, keep it safe, and keep you safe. Right? If I notice this thing's a ball of rust, which it was, at a minimum, have a mechanic sign off on it. If you have a mechanic look at it, which is what I recommend, have a mechanic look at it and see if it's serviceable. What he's going to tell you is probably, you need to replace it. But at least I leave that option open for him. Just have it inspected and see what the mechanic says. If he says it's okay and the mechanic signs off on it, then well and good, right? Again, I don't go on the boat and do any of those thou shalt or you will or whatever. I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude that comes on there and says, hey, you know what? If I didn't want to sink or blow myself up, I would probably do this, again, based on the recommendations, industry standard, and common sense. And, that's the way it rolls. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And if so, and you want to buy Captain Frank a cup of coffee, please click on the support link in the text description below. All monies received, not spent on coffee, will go towards making even more awesome podcasts for my channel. And as always, thank you for your support.